The sun is shining, the grid is a busy one. British GT is back. Welcome everybody to Donington Park and the full 2.5 mile Grand Prix circuit as we get set for a proper endurance race to kick off the season. It is 2 hours of drama that we have in store. And as we were suggesting a little while ago, it is very difficult indeed to predict a winner, be it in GT3 or GT4, where, of course, if you're a silver-silver pairing, there's an extra 24 seconds to serve in the pit stops, and we'll worry about those mid-race. Chapter 1 of the story is about to be written. The lights on red on the gantry will be changed in a moment, and then British GT 2025 will be go. It is blast off, and a good start made by Charles Dawson. Kevin Say tries to move across and get the line for the corner as up the inside line. Dives Alex Martin, has a cheeky look. That didn't work. Charles Dawson leaves the door slightly ajar, if not open, as the cars go onto the top of the crane and curves for the first time. Dawson bolts in the lead. He's getting away. Up to second place, Alex Martin. Kevin Say hung out to dry a bit on the outside line. He's down to third. Morgan Tilbrook fourth, but a good start by Dawson.
Yeah, that's the start he wanted to get. We know if he got through turn one clean, he's got the pace to run away, in theory, looking at the qualifying times yesterday. So, yeah, clean start for Dawson.
Matt Topham's on the move in number 1, Lamborghini, up alongside the black and pink McLaren and Mark Smith, who fights back. Look there in the background on the inside line, retakes the place. What's going on in GT4? It is number 90, Mark Warren, in the lead. You can see already the difference in pace between GT3 and GT4, how it's two distinct races, two distinct packs already.
8 seconds of lap difference, you know, it's going to be, what, 10 laps, and then they'll be lapping each other. So, yeah, that's when it's going to get a bit crazy. Oh, and the Lotus is off. Is that the 84?
That's
no.
88, isn't it? So that's the car of Ian Duggan. That's in the gravel at Coppice. Prepare for a full course yellow, says race director Peter Daly. Racing driver himself, very successful Formula Ford racer. And Peter will be on the radio to the teams saying prepare for this FCY, and that is so the race can be neutralised, so they can get that car out of the gravel.
Here we go, this is probably it.
So Morgan Tilbrook at the inside of the Lotus. Oh, you bang. That does rather answer the question. And a spin as well for Giacomo Petrobelli in the Aston Martin.
I think that was just a bit late from the Aston, wasn't it? I know it's a GT4, I know you're 8 seconds a lap quicker, but...
Yeah, it wasn't alongside.
That was just a pure wipeout, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Safety car has just gone storming past the pit, so you get the feeling this could be its last lap. Lorna Vickers perhaps on instruction.
The safety car will be in this lap. Safety car in this lap.
There we go.
I was about to say the wick has been turned up in readiness, yeah.
Yeah, and everyone's going to be weaving that a little bit harder, braking that a little bit harder, ready for that race start, getting as much temp as possible into their tyres. This should be good.
So safety car in this time. 88 Lotus heading back into the race, but we are ready for what promises to be another storming, if you like, start lap, because Charles Dawson's going to try and rebuild his lead. And in GT4, Mark Warren versus Aidan Neat, that's going to be... Oh, now the Lotus has just left the pits and driven into the gravel. So we are good to go once more then as the cars accelerate out of Goddard's. The green flags will fly at the timing line. We're back racing. 24 McLaren, by the way, is a lap down. So only now can Kevin Say get on his toes to try to get past him on the run down towards Redgate. Dawson has the advantage still. Second, it is Alex Martin. Kevin Say is third. Morgan Tilbrook fourth. Then you've got Simon Orange up into 5th place, and for GT4 we're about to have a change, are we, for the class lead? Not quite. The Jolt Racing McLaren's on the outside. Mark Warren gets up the in. Aidan Neat is right on his tail, and now the Lotus tries to make a move down through the Craner curves. This is absolutely nose to tail for the GT4 lead. Now coming into the chicane, contact. Nick Jones and Mike Price, and it's the Porsche that's going to come off worse. Kaboom! Into the tyres.
Big one. Gets
airborne. Big indeed. That's going to put debris on the road. I would fear that's going to have done a rad and put coolant and liquid on the road as well. And it's come to grief right slap bang in the middle of the S's. Thankfully, the car has got going again. Sorry, what's left of the car has got going again, which now starts to fall apart around the circuit. So that's another one that's going to have a long stop, because they're going to have a lot of repair work to do on the front of that car. But there are 2 corners to go for Kean Jewis, who sets up the 2Cs Motorsport Mercedes. Make that 1 corner to go as he exits the Melbourne hairpin. It is job done. British GT honours then in our first round of the championship. 2 hours of Donington will go the way of 2Cs Motorsports Mercedes AMG GT3. Charles Dawson started. Kean Jewis brings it home for a fantastic win at Donington. Charles Dawson and Cian Jewis atop the result sheets after 77 drama-filled laps of Donington. Alex Martin, Sandy Mitchell second from Kevin Say and Maxi Gertz. Marvin Kirchhofer fourth with Morgan Tilbrook. The Nearys were fifth, Richard and Sam. Matt Topham and Hugo Cook sixth. So they were able to battle up despite that earlier spin. Seventh, Simon Orange and Marcus Clatton. Eighth was Tom Wood and Andrew Howard to win in the Silver Am contest. Ninth, Martin Plowman and Mark Smith. And 10th, Mike Price and Callum McLeod. GT4 then, taken by Mark Warren and Jack Brown from Ravi Ramyud and Charlie Robertson. Even with the penalty, they took second, clear of Seb Morris and Ed McDermott. Phil Keane with John Curry came next. And then Aidan Neat, Josh Miller, class winners at fifth in GT4.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Silverstone. It is the annual running of the Silverstone 500, the blue ribbon event in the British GT Championship. 3 hours of close racing and intriguing strategy await us around the magnificent Silverstone Grand Prix circuit, which this afternoon is basking under some bright blue skies and ambient temperatures that are getting dangerously close to the 20s. It almost feels like summer's around the corner. Beautiful conditions for racing, a big grid of cars, 33 of them set to take to the circuit, 21 GT3 cars, and the rest of the field running in the very competitive GT4 category. And a lot of questions to be answered over the course of the next few hours. So make sure you strap yourselves in, make yourselves comfortable, and get ready to enjoy what should be, hopefully, a repeat of the really exciting race that we had at Donington Park to start the season not that long ago. That was a slightly shorter race, 2 hours in length, but it certainly did not lack drama. Let's put on a show for you all, shall we? The Silverstone 500 for 2025. About to get underway. Morgan Tilbrook leads them through Woodcote Corner. 2 by 2 they will run. The race starts when the red lights on the starting gantry go out, and that moment is just seconds away. Off they go towards Copse Corner. Tilbrook then gets the race underway from pole position and will desperately want to keep Kevin Say behind him into Copse Corner, which he has done. So the McLaren will lead. They're 3 abreast in the mid-pack, and this is Darren Leung. He was 5th on the grid. He's going for 3rd already, to the inside of Petrobelli. To the outside was Alex Martin. Leung backed out of it sensibly, I think, with Charles Dawson picking up 1 spot to 6th. The championship leaders having won the season opener at Donington Park. The blue and pink Mercedes gaining ground already in GT4. It looks like Mahiki have held on to the early race lead as they file their way through the Maggotts and Beckett sequence for the first time and out onto the Hangar straight. Century Motorsports are second, so Ravi Ramyud's got ahead of Mark Warren for second in GT4. So this was a lap ago into the same corner. That's the 25 BMW nipping up the inside of Andrew Howard. Andrew comes back at him into the loop. And, well, rather predictably, paint is traded. And I think that number 25 car is going to go around. John Kearney in the Century Motorsport BMW. That looks worse than it is. There's nothing really at that point Andrew Howard can do to avoid running into the side of the spinning BMW. This is what happened to Beauvais. He's battling with Nick Jones, James. And, well, they both seem to go for the same bit of racetrack at the same time. But there, just as Johnny Adam is released from the pit lane, this, I think, is a big advantage to Blackthorn because Gertz is stuck there on the exit of Luffield Corner, going at full course yellow pace. Johnny Adam can rejoin the pit lane, and I think this is going to hand the position to the Aston Martin. There is the reason for the full course yellow. Oh no, that's 84. That is 84 from the lead of GT4. We'll get back to that, Ricky. 84 off. That looks like it's on the exit of Farm. It's a long way off the road, and the car that has been dominating in GT4 so far is off the circuit, going no further. This surely is going to be another full course yellow, but what on earth has happened there?
Well, just having a brief look, there looks like there's a bit of door mirror there. There's cars still going side by side in potentially a yellow flag zone as we see the Merc there going down the inside. Is that a yellow flag in there or is it green? I'm not sure, but...
Well, if it was yellow, that will be a penalty. It doesn't matter whether it's a lapped car that you are passing. You are not allowed to overtake in the yellow flag zone. We are being told to prepare for a full course yellow. There is the full course yellow.
And there you see another take.
Oh, yeah, the 42. It's all got very, very congested because the Jolt McLaren, the GT4 McLaren, had seen the yellow flags and the full course yellow boards, and some of the GT3 cars had not. I fear that we have not seen our last penalty for yellow flag infringements in this race. We're going to see a replay here of that infringement. James, we saw this happening live. This is the moment. The yellow flags are out. Full course yellow has been called, and he nips up the inside of the 37 car. and they were out for the yellow flags are displayed for about 10 seconds before the full course yellow is displayed. So that was the moment the full course yellow was called. The yellow flags were actually waving for quite some time before that.
Yeah, and if the GT4 McLaren was super early to get down to FCY speed, it could have caught the 42 out, so it didn't have to be his fault. But yeah, he's boxing. This is the penalty. Right
then, where is Dan Harper? Dan Harper is halfway down the Wellington Straight, so he's a couple of corners away. He, at the start of the lap, was 21.2 seconds behind Cian Dewis, who is serving that drive-through penalty. Down the pit lane, he trundles. This will seem like an age. Here comes Harper off Luffield. It's going to be nip and tuck this, and it could be decisive for the race. Dan Harper pushing on.
Car 12 has a drive-through penalty for a pit stop infringement. Car 12, drive-through penalty.
That's the Team Parker Mercedes in GT4. We'll cover that in a moment. Here comes Harper. I think he might get past Dewis. Yes, he has. That was Dewis's roof I saw still in the pit lane exit. Harper goes through fractionally ahead of Dewis by a second or so. The BMW man has gone through those couple of quick laps that he did where he was setting personal bests a few laps ago. That has netted him the race lead. Now, though, he has to hang on to it. Dan Harper and Paradigm Competition will win the 2025 Silverstone 500. The winning margin was under 0.6 of a second to Cian Dewis in the 2Cs Motorsport Mercedes, which gave it everything to try and steal the victory away. Marvin Kirchhofer will leave Silverstone as a double lap record holder, but only the third step of the podium for Optimum Motorsports McLaren. And it was a good day to be a BMW driver as they claim victory in both classes. Dan Harper and Darren Leung become two-time Silverstone 500 winners. We started the Paradigm Competitions BMW squad. 2Cs Motorsport, Cian Dewis and Charles Dawson second. Under 0.6 of a second between them. Morgan Tilbrook and Marvin Kirchhofer were third. In GT4, again, BMW on top. Century Motorsport getting two cars onto the GT4 podium. The 71 example of Ravi Ramid and Charlie Robertson winning overall, with Mark Warren and Jack Brown's Optimum McLaren second. And then Brandon Templeton and Chris Solkel coming home in third position were also the victors in the GT4 Silver Cup.
It's an important day for the British GT Championship. 2 one-hour sprint races here at Oulton Park. And that means if you do well in both, it is a big bank raid of points that you can take away from the Cheshire circuit. Welcome everybody to race 1 of 2, to round 3 of the British GT Championship. David Addison trackside, a dry track. It was bright and sunny this morning, if a bit blustery. It is getting ever more overcast, and there is a threat of rain for this afternoon that might strike the second race at perhaps the most picturesque circuit that we come to, Oulton Park. In the heart of the Cheshire countryside, a fabulous driver's circuit. It's not the widest in the world, and that makes negotiating GT3 machinery around here always a challenge. But we had 2 dramatic qualifying sessions on Saturday that have determined the grid for each of the 2 races. The road drops away on exit. You climb up Deer Leap, pit entry on the right-hand side. But the drivers, one car, that's the safety car getting out of the way. The drivers are going to be focused on the lights, as now the lights are switched from red to green. We go racing at Oulton Park, and it is going to be Rob Collard versus Giacomo Petrobelli. Petrobelli was ahead. Rob Collard fights back on the inside line. Petrobelli gets roughed up, and somebody else going really, really wide. That looked like it may have been Charles Dawson, but as they drop down towards Cascades for the first time, Rob Collard has managed to get away. Petrobelli back up the inside to go second. It's Kevin Say in third place, but that could have been a rather messy start. James, they just about got away with it.
They did. Collard looked hard but fair, but definitely showed Petrobelli the door at turn 1. But other cars behind just looked like they didn't want to give up the outside line and just ran onto the grass. So chaotic start, but thankfully everyone's still in the race.
But what you can't say in a 1-hour sprint round Oulton Park is that you've got time to fight back, and with a punctured tyre already in trouble is Andrew Howard. He's stopped on the Foster's Link, and Andrew Howard's race effectively is over, because by the time, even if they can get it back to the pit lane, they're going to be off the lead lap, and that is a dreadful start to the day for Andrew Howard, sadly. So down towards Lodge Corner for the final time. It is going to be a win for Lamborghini, for Barwell Motorsport, for Rob Collard, the reigning champion, and it is going to be a first British GT win for Hugo Cook at his home circuit. A delighted man brings the car home, the winner. Hugo Cook, Rob Collard win race 1 at Oulton Park. So let's have a look at the order. We've got Rob Collard and Hugo Cook victorious by just under a second from Kevin Say and Maxi Gertz. Giacomo Petrobelli and Johnny Adam taking third. Fourth to Richard and Sam Neary. Alex Martin and Sandy Mitchell fifth. And sixth, and a new lap record, Sven Muller with Nick Jones. Duncan Cameron and Matt Griffin were 7th, ahead of Marvin Kirchhofer and Morgan Tilbrook. Charles Dawson and Cian Dewis penalised, but 9th, Callum McLeod and Mike Price 10th. Look to 14th, you find Jack Brown and Mark Warren, GT4 winners from Jack Mitchell and Stephen Lake. 3rd and winning silver in GT4, Chris Solkeld and Brandon Templeton. The cars then are coming down towards the end of the formation lap, and the number 69 Lotus is being held at the end of the pit lane. So number 69 is going to, there it is, it's going to go a lap down here. So the plan to change the tyres, it has not worked because they didn't get out in time. The cars then now making their way up through Lodge Corner, the Lotus being held at the end of the pit lane. All eyes on GT3. That is anybody going to bail for the pit lane? They're not at the front, certainly, because the lights go out and Maxi Gertz blasts away, being hustled along by Sven Muller. They both get up the inside line. Sandy Mitchell on the outside, fending off Marvin Kirchhofer as they go around Old Hall for the first time. It is a greasy circuit. The GT3 pack safely through. It is Gertz leading. Here comes Mitchell back up the inside of Muller for 2nd place, and he's done it. Really nice move in the Lamborghini.
Oh, Muller had such a good start, but because it's wet, Sandy had the wet line, which just gave him P2. So, and big contact with these cars in front approaching Island Bend.
Whoop. And that's Nick Jones off the road. He's got it wrong going through Island Bend, and Nick Jones slithers his way around the corner. Does he get back onto the road? No, he stays on the grass, but it was a big, long, lazy slide. And now the problem is, can he get the car fired up? And then can he get off that wet grass?
And you can see the barrier from earlier with that Ravi Ramyid crash. That's
Still
really
got bits in it, doesn't it?
Yeah, but I think he's beached, is he?
Go on, Nick, get it going. He's got it moving.
There we go.
Well done. Here they come out of the chicane. In the meantime, Kevin Say is going to win race 2. Kevin Say and Maxi Gertz win at Oulton Park in a wet-dry race, but in the end, it's a dominant driver. Delighted Maxi Gertz. They take their first win of the season. It's another victory for 2Cs. The GT4 leaders go across the line where Jack Brown and Mark Warren win. Coming into Knickerbrook for the last time, you're on board with Simon Orange. Chun Chun Gip is right there behind him in the Honda as they make that climb up Clay Hill. He's done such a good job, has Chun Chun Gip, of getting up with the McLaren. Is he going to be denied 2nd place? It looks like he is, because there's only really one corner to go, and Simon Orange has defended magnificently here. Luke Garlick looks at the screens, looks at his phone. Last corner, last lap, and Chun Chun Gip not quite close enough, but does he get the drive off the corner? Yes, he does, but not enough. It is going to be the McLaren that just hangs on to 2nd place. Great battle. Simon Orange defended really, really well, but Chun Chun Gip from 14th to 3rd. That is really the feel-good story of the day, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good to see that. And I've got to say, the number 18 2Cs car, Kevin Say and Max Gertz, clinical, 47 seconds lead from P1 to P2. Made no mistakes. Good first stint, good strategy. Kevin drove amazing as well. Like, wow. I mean, it's got to be one of the most dominant victories in British GT history.
So let's look at the results then with our class winners first of all. In GT3, the outright winner in the Pro-Am class fell to Maxi Gertz, Kevin Say. Silver Am, 3rd overall, Chun Chun Gip and Luke Garlick. In GT4, it was a win for Jack Brown and Mark Warren. They won Pro-Am, and the winning silver class, Carl Luca Hopkinson and Harry George. So Kevin Say and Maxi Gertz, the winners from Simon Orange and Marcus Clatham. Luke Garlick and Chun Chun Gip, 3rd. Giacomo Petrobelli 4th with the help of Johnny Adam. Marvin Kirchhofer and Morgan Tilbrook, who took the fastest lap, coming through for 5th. 6th in the end, Sven Muller and Nick Jones. Go down to 8th and you find the class runner-up, Andrew Howard and Tom Wood. And then GT4, 13th and back, Jack Brown and Mark Warren ahead of Harry George and Luca Hopkinson. And then Jack Mitchell and Stephen Lake, 3rd in GT4.
And the sun has greeted us here at Spa for what's set to be a fascinating 3 hours of racing. James Baldwin has been quite rightly said alongside me. James, you've had the opportunity, unlike myself and Bryn, to drive GT3 cars around this magnificent circuit. Why is it such a special place?
I think it's just so high speed, and the elevation change as well. Eau Rouge is particularly insane in a GT3 car because it's just about flat, not easy flat, so you have to really get the line right. But today I think it's about 2 things. Like Silverstone, the strategy is going to come into it, big 3-hour endurance race. The second thing is the temperature. It's so hot. I think tyre management is going to be key today to see who gets on the podium and ultimately who wins the race.
It is Giacomo Petrobelli and Morgan Tilbrook who make up the front row of the grid. The red lights are on, 2 by 2 they run to the line, the race gets underway, and immediately Alex Martin pops out of line, gets up the inside of his teammate Rob Collard, and might even challenge for a top 3 into last source. That's a very brave start for Alex Martin. He gets pinched on the apex, bits of carbon fibre go flying, hopefully they're all still there on the other side, I think they are, and now we make the rush down towards Eau Rouge and Radion for the first time of asking. Alex Martin then on his toes, but it's Petrobelli who leads the way heading towards Eau Rouge.
There we go, finally a clean start in GT3 for British GT. Last couple of years haven't been so clean, but I saw Alex Martin lose a bit of bodywork there, so he got caught up with a bit of contact. I think the start caught out quite a few cars. They were quite spaced out in GT3. Haven't seen GT4 just yet, but so far so good and clean.
So Aston Martin already getting away, then the 2 McLarens in line behind. Alex Martin didn't come out of that very well. He's back where he started, actually, I think, in 7th position, behind the championship leading Mercedes there of Charles Dawson. Side-by-side action behind. Looks like the Richard Neary-driven Mercedes has lost a little bit of ground.
Not ideal.
And around goes Simon Orange into the barriers from 2nd place. Simon Orange is off the road at Blanchimont. Well, we don't really need to worry about track limits for this car now, because that will take them out of contention immediately. And he didn't really need to be doing that, James.
Yeah, what happened there? Did he just get off throttle like Neary midway through Blanchimont and the rears come round, or did he clip the inside curb? We'll soon see, but he's kept it going. I wonder if the rear suspension's broken. Yeah, I think it might be.
This is what happened. Well, no other cars around. That looked a bit like the curb.
Yeah, I think he, as you say, bit the curb on the inside, had a moment, caught the moment, and then maybe overcompensated and the rear came round on him. Really brutal crash, that.
So let's see, when does the move come? Not before the line, remember, Matt Griffin. Be careful, he pulls alongside the Aston Martin, crosses the line, 74 thousandths of a second behind. That was perfectly judged, gets his nose ahead and outbreaks the Aston Martin into La Source. So Ferrari lead in the British GT Championship. It's been a long time since we've been able to say that. And Matt Griffin, a real veteran of the British GT Championship, leads the way down the hill into the Eau Rouge and Radion section. Matt Griffin, who debuted in British GT all the way back in 2003, and here he is leading a race once again. This is the Barwell battle, meanwhile. Remember, this group of cars all on the same strategy, and that was a really good run over Radion for Alex Martin. He's alongside Rob Collard heading towards Lake Con. And Johnny Adam in the Blackthorn Aston Martin. There he is, look, turning into the final chicane, and should come out of all of this with the race lead. And we'll get a proper gauge on how big that race lead is before much longer. Although the 55 Ferrari is already heading down the pit lane, so it's going to be quite close. Ah, yes, but they will owe us, of course, they still owe us another stop. That's visit.
I was going to say, yeah.
Sorry. So they rejoin actually just ahead, but of course, Johnny Adam pulling the pin earlier on that final stop is not really going to have to engage in much of a fight with the Ferrari. So Duncan Cameron in the Ferrari still leads the race for now.
Yes, my eyes are glued to the track limit board for Johnny Adam. But even up Eau Rouge there, you can see he's leaving a lot of margin, understandably so. He's got the overspeed because obviously Matt Griffin left the pits, and that should be the move that, sorry, Duncan Cameron, not Matt Griffin, and there's the move for the lead.
It is going to be a hugely popular and very significant win in the championship, this for Blackthorn, for Giacomo Petrobelli and Johnny Adam. They are the winners of round number 5 of the British GT Championship here at Spa-Francorchamps. Johnny Adam has done it. He finally gets that 20th win, 2 years since his most recent victory in the championship, and he will be absolutely delighted with that, as will Giacomo Petrobelli. Now he can smile, now he can relax, and now he can begin the celebrations. A big moment for Giacomo, who himself is a hugely experienced driver in GT racing. He's been racing GT cars for nearly 2 decades now, all over the world, and it's so nice to have him on the British GT grid. In GT4, 5 pit stops have been made by this number 71 BMW. 3 were mandatory, 2 were drive-through penalties for track limits infringements, but despite all of that, they're going to come home victorious, and by quite some way. They're 26 or more seconds clear of the rest of the GT4 field, and this just keeps a glimmer of hope in their championship aspirations as well. Ravi Ramid and Charlie Robertson then win in GT4, and they claim a GT4 Pro-Am victory as well. Blackthorn Aston Martin victorious then by 25 seconds over the Optimum number 77 car, who I think are now second in the points. Hugo Cook and Rob Collard were third for Barwell, ahead of teammates Alex Martin and Patrick Kuyela, with Andrew Howard and Tom Wood the silver and winners in fifth. Then it was the 2Cs number 42 car, still championship leaders, but only sixth in that race, ahead of Spirit of Races Ferrari, the Paddock McLaren, the Bridger Motorsport Honda, and Optimum's number 3 car to complete the top 10. In GT4, Century Motorsports, Charlie Robertson and Ravi Ramid were the winners. Team Parker Racing came home a very impressive second place and a double podium for the Team Parker team, with Keenan Curry in third.
Hello and welcome to Snetterton for round 6 and 7 of the British GT. It's the final sprint race weekend of the championship, the final of 2 sprint race weekends here in the championship. 2 one-hour races coming your way here today, and a lot to play for in the championship. GT3 separated by just 3 points for the top 3. GT4, 27.5 points separate the top 2. So a lot going on with 4 rounds to go. Here at Snetterton, under the lovely Norfolk sky, well, it is sunny, but it is also quite cloudy and humid. Qualifying yesterday, 42-degree track temperature today. The air temperature is 26 degrees. Track is 28 degrees and warming by every single second. A lot coming your way this afternoon, and I'm delighted to have the A team here on the grid with me, starting with this man, David Addison. You don't often get on the track, do you?
No, I know. I barely recognise this. I mean, normally I'm allowed to walk across it to go from the booth to the pit lane and back again, but to actually stand on the grid and maybe even see some cars, it's a bit of a rarity. And what better a grid to stand on than a GT grid? Exactly that, and a finely poised grid, as I was saying. 3 points separate the top 3 in GT3 alone. Yeah, and it's a kind of bank raid day, this, because get it right, you can score big. You've got 2 races which earn points. Get it wrong in both races, and you can be in big trouble. You know, if you think back to Oulton Park and GT4, the Ravi Rami BMW crash early on, that was a car that could have had 2 really good results out of race 1, didn't score, damage too great to even take part in race 2. So yeah, like I say, get it wrong and it can really bite today. This is round 6 of the British GT Championship. It is Charles Dawson on pole. It is go. It is a good start for the Mercedes. Giacomo Petrovelli tries to rumble up alongside him on the outside, heading down to Riches. Nick Jones on his toes, looking the Porsche on the inside as they all funnel down towards Riches. A little bit of dirt kicked up. Maybe Mark Smith in that pink and black McLaren, not quite so quickly out of the blocks, but it's Dawson in the lead. It's Petrovelli second, Kevin Say third-ish, because round the outside goes Rob Collard. Alex Martin goes round the outside as well, but he's hung out to dry. Mark Smith with the tail-wagging McLaren losing out to him, but look, Dawson's checked out already.
Great start, and look at Miller in GT4. That Ginetta has taken the 2 Optimum McLarens. Could see him on the inside out of turn 1. Great start from the 84 Mahiki car.
Damage on the number 90 McLaren, looked flapping bodywork on that right rear corner, so there's been a little bit of a brush already, and I just wonder whether that's going to part company or whether the scrutineers are going to get concerned. Here's a replay of the start.
Yeah, is it going to be contact from the front of this Ginetta we're on board with, and then that more yellow McLaren on our left? We go to the inside, we use the pit exit. That is legal, it's a dotted line. It's actually contact between the 2 cars. Hopkinson, for me, goes in a bit hot, misses the apex, and then opens the door for Miller.
Kean Jewis, though, another masterclass in how to win in GT3.
Yeah, Jack Mitchell dangled the hook out there, and Harry George bit very hard and caught himself on it. Shame for Harry George, he tried, but it failed.
Kean Jewis then for Charles Dawson for 2Cs Motorsport brings 42 Mercedes AMG GT3 up towards the checkered flag. This is the run out of turn 12. The road climbs ever so slightly as the checkered flag awaits, and honours in round 6 of the British GT Championship go to Charles Dawson, to Kean Jewis, their second race win of the season. Here for second place, Maxi Gertz and Kevin Say. It's a 1-2 then for the 2Cs Motorsport team. Charles Dawson and Kean Jewis the winners, from Maxi Gertz and Kevin Say, Alex Martin and Sandy Mitchell third. Giacomo Petrovelli and Johnny Adam fourth, ahead of Martin Plowman and Mark Smith. Nick Jones and Sven Muller rounding out the top 6. Duncan Cameron seventh with Matt Griffin's help. Tough race for Rob Collard and Hugo Cook. They were 8th ahead of Morgan Tilbrook and Marvin Kirchhoffer. Top 10 rounded out by Simon Orange and Marcus Klassen with that penalty. Mott Warren and Jack Brown then 2 laps down, but victorious in GT4 from Josh Miller and Jack Mitchell. Luca Hopkinson and Harry George taking third, and Ravi Ramid and Charlie Robertson fourth. But it could have been a different story but for their drive-through. Brandon Templeton and Chris Sulkels next, ahead of Joe Wheeler and Ian Duggan. Maximilian Goetz then on pole position, rumbles in the Mercedes AMG up towards the line. Marvin Kirchhofer in the McLaren on the outside line, and they accelerate now up towards the lights. Look at Sven Muller, look at Jewis out of sequence there, getting up the middle. The lights go green, away they go. Muller certainly on his toes in the Porsche, look, trying to desperately find clear real estate. Up the inside line goes Marcus Klassen in the blue McLaren. This has got contact written all over it, hasn't it? But so far, so good as they round turn one. It is going to be Goetz in the lead, Kirchhofer second, Sandy Mitchell in the Lamborghini for third, and Muller 2 wheels on the grass. Can he get the car slowed down? He can, but only just. He's really committed to this, but already in strife is number 37 McLaren. That's John Ingram, who's had a moment. He's getting going again, but the Jolt Racing McLaren has certainly had a jolt. Now, what's going on in GT4? We're up to turn 5, and I'm afraid the BMW is still ahead, so Jack Brown was telling you fibs.
Yeah, all bark, no bite, and did look like the rear left, that Jolt car was down a bit. Was that just a divot in the grass? It has got going from the inside of turn 3, so all good, all cars now going.
We're not done yet, though, for Morgan Tilbrook, because now Rob Collard is up the inside. So one Lamborghini has found a way by, and Rob Collard charges along. Contact between the two. You don't do that twice to Rob Collard. He's going to go through on the inside line. He goes wide. Tilbrook fights back, but that puts him on the outside line for the next corner. Giacomo Petrobelli tries to buy into this as well. So all of a sudden, third, fourth, fifth, there's contact. Petrobelli takes the back of the Morgan Tilbrook McLaren and turns him around. And oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Tilbrook sitting in the middle of the road. He's kept the engine going. He's going to rejoin, but Giacomo Petrobelli, I fear, is going to get looked at for that. So Kevin Say and Maxi Goetz are going to take a second win of the British GT Championship season. To the checkered flag comes Kevin Say. It is a win in round 7 of the British GT Championship. Now it's a very happy Maxi Goetz who cheers home Kevin Say. So these are very provisional results. Maxi Goetz taking the honours with Kevin Say, Alex Martin second with Sandy Mitchell, and Rob Collard and Hugo Cook third. Then it gets a bit more confused because contact on that last lap, Giacomo Petrobelli and Johnny Adam ahead of Morgan Tilbrook and Marvin Kirchhofer. Nick Jones and Sven Muller survived contact early on in the race to be 6th, and an off by Nick Jones also. 7th on corrected times, Charles Dawson and Cian Jewis. Martin Plowman and Mark Smith, they got onto the grass and they were 8th ahead of Duncan Cameron and Matt Griffin, with Johnny Ipp and Jay Bridger rounding out the top 10. In GT4, Ravi Ramid and Charlie Robertson victorious from Joe Wheeler and Ian Duggan. Third and winning in silver, Brandon Templeton and Chris Solkeld. And we get ready then for the penultimate round of the British GT Championship. The grid looking slightly different this week, in as much as we are without senior pit lane official Jules Battendale. For the first time in about 13 years, Jules has decided that rather than tramp up and down the pit lane, he can sit in the garden with a beer or something. We hope to see you back in action, Jules, at Donington. From all your friends in the British GT paddock, we hope to see you back very soon. Best wishes to you. The safety car peels in. Lorna Vickers, or Lorna Daly as she now is, having recently married Peter Daly, the championship race director. Congratulations both. The safety car peels into the pit lane, and it is going to be Kevin Say versus Giacomo Petrobelli then to get the penultimate round of the British GT Championship underway. Down towards Paddock Hill Bend. Petrobelli makes a good start on the outside. Rob Collard trying to shovel him round the corner. He's right up behind, round the outside of the Mercedes. Tries to go Petrobelli. He's done it, I think, on the outside line as they head uphill for the first time. Yes, Aston Martin hits the front. Collard goes second. Kevin Say a cautious start. He's down to third place as they go down towards Graham Hill Bend. But the good news is everybody through the first couple of corners safely, although that said, there's one on the grass coming out of Druids, back onto the tarmac, hopefully. I think we've had a spin, in fact, coming out of Druids. One car off the road. Yeah,
Optimum McLaren 90. Looks like it's hit the wall. It's taken the barrier out. How much damage? It's probably on the other side of the car. Another cautious start was Martin, the Lamborghini. He got jumped originally by Tilbrook, who's now behind. But look at Dawson, now over the back of his teammate. These are 1 and 2 in the championship, but in the other order. As you see a move from Smith down the inside of Howard, is there going to be contact? Fair driving by both.
There, 84 Ginetta leading in GT4. Safety car is called then. Safety car is called. You can race until you get to the line, but the safety car will neutralise the race. This is the GT4 start then. So heading down towards paddock. The car we're looking for is the white and yellow McLaren on the outside of the second row. You can see it there going through the shot near the white and blue and green BMW. So Mark Warren at the wheel, heads up the hill. It all concertinas look as the GT4 traffic gets onto the back of GT3. Mark Warren on the outside. The BMW just slid slightly, tiny touch between the two, but that was enough to put the McLaren rather, off the racetrack.
Yeah, interesting one. It's either front left suspension damage instantly, which has lost any steering ability for the Oulton McLaren, or does it whip the steering wheel out of his hands and he can't grab it in time to get back away? Because that would have been a pretty big hit by the time it got to the driver's hands, and it just has that innocuous off. I think it's the latter, because suddenly he gets back on the trajectory. Too late, barrier damage, and yeah, race done for the 90 car.
The safety car, as you see, is in this lap. The car's all bunching up down towards Sterling's. It's up to Giacomo Petrobelli now to control the pace. He can slow right down, let the safety car go, and then choose when to accelerate. You can't accelerate and then brake. Once you go, you've got to keep going. You can't go and slow. You've got to keep accelerating, which Giacomo Petrobelli does now. And he gets the jump on Rob Collard really nicely.
Yeah, I thought he was going to go too late. Rob was able just to guess when he was going because there was less time afforded to the start line. But Rob really caught napping there, potentially wrong gear. It was that bad. He will be fired up now. And as they cross the line, that gap's nearly a second. That is a very, very average restart from Rob Collard. Muller to the inside to Plowman again. We said it was a move lined up. And I said about contact potentially getting riskier towards the end of the race. Turns out it was right, and I think Jarl is going to get past Muller.
Kuila's heading for the pit lane. If he gets that far, because a tyre may well have gone down or he can't turn, he's in the gravel, as you see. That's at Sheen Curve. He keeps on digging. I think the tyre may have gone bang. Then he ran over some damage, some debris. It's wobbly, it's flapping, and it's low. So a tyre has gone on 78. He's run over some debris on the road. That's done for him. Full course yellow is called. That is Sven Muller out of the race, and it's his car in the gravel that needs removing. Full course yellow.
Yeah, the flames on the back of the Plowman car was just the overrun out the turbo, so that is relatively normal. Here we see the Barwell car trudging down pit lane. Expect once it goes in the air, that front left tyre creating all the smoke, the mechanic will go over, it will give it a wobble first, and I think that is day done. I think that's more than a puncture. I think it's done the track rod control arm personally. They're going to put a tyre on it, are they not? And they're looking at it quickly, but yeah, it'd be amazing to know the component he hit to break the car like that. It must have been something relatively substantial, but I think they've got damage to the suspension on that car, not just a puncture.
It is now as they accelerate out of Sterling's. He gets the drop by a length, so it's a good restart by Jewis, and Marvin Kirchhoff is going to have to be really, really brave coming through Clark Curve to have a go, going up towards Paddock Hill Benwick. Back to green flag conditions, just under 10 minutes are on the clock. They're coming up towards the timing line. Cian Jewis leads the way. This is the end of lap number 61. Green again, down towards Paddock. He's not close enough to make a move, and Johnny Adam is not able to make a move either, as they're up the inside to put a lap on the Honda and to secure Silver Am honours most definitely. Tom Wood, leaders nose to tail, 3 for the lead up at Druids. For the first time at Brands Hatch, a Mercedes AMG wins. Cian Jewis brings it home. Charles Dawson and Cian Jewis win for the third time this season. It's a delighted Dawson. It's a happy 2Cs Motorsport team. And Charles Dawson and Cian Jewis win by just under half a second from Marvin Kirchhoff and Hugo Cook third. That's Johnny Adam fourth, from Tom Wood, from Marcus Klassen, Maxi Gertz seventh, Callum McLeod eighth, Martin Plowman ninth. And here, Harry George and Luca Hopkinson head up towards the timing line. Checkered flag and a first win in GT4 for Harry George, for Luca Hopkinson. The win going the way of Luca Hopkinson and Harry George. GT3 to Cian Jewis and Charles Dawson.
And a very, very warm welcome to you from Donington Park, the site of our first race of the season in 2025 and the location of the Donington Decider. It all ends here for 2025 and the British GT. It's been all about the weather this weekend, with qualifying disrupted by Storm Amy, and the remnants of the storm are still here. It is very, very windy. It is cloudy with pockets of sunshine and an air temperature of 18 degrees. Track temperature 14 degrees, getting warmer as we go throughout the course of this one. GT3 and GT4 are up for grabs. 8 rounds have happened so far this season. 426 laps completed over the course of the season. 1,324 miles of competitive racing have brought us to this stage. It's been dynamic, it's been lively, and it is the Donington Decider.
Place your bets, everybody. This is going to be a thriller. The lights go out, away we go. We are racing now at Donington Park. Rob Collard gets the jump on his Barwell Motorsport teammate. He's got the inside line into Redgate Corner, although Alex Martin coming back at him on the outside. I think Collard should prevail. They're still side by side, but yes, car number 1 exits ahead, wide further back for Morgan Tilbrook. Around has gone Mike Price in his McLaren, and that was Charles Dawson very aggressively sweeping round the outside. He's into third already, the Mercedes, Joe, on its toes.
Yeah, it really was. I just wondered if Collard went and then stopped for the line. Looked like he went very early out the final corner, and definitely I would say Mike Price got helped around some of the GT3 cars tripping over each other at the back. GT4 has been a pretty good start. Mark Warren has lost a place there. That's the only major change at the front of GT4, and Petrobelli looks like he's on the move as well in the 7 Aston Martin.
And off goes the GT4 number 31 Aston Martin. That's the old hairpin. That's in the gravel, and that, Joe, might be going no further.
Yeah, it's going to be a full course yellow, isn't it? Potentially into safety car. Everyone will be told that, so there will be yellow flags.
Charles Dawson, who's doing everything he needs to do, but remember, what's coming under some threat from Giacomo Petrobelli's Aston Martin immediately before the full course yellow came out. And Giacomo, by the looks of the restart that he's just had, is going to continue exactly where he left off, right on the back of the number 42 Mercedes. Rob Collard, though, gets the race back underway, already weaving around to try and generate some tyre temperature, and there is definitely fresh rain falling as they head for Redgate Corner. Pick your braking point. The leaders have got into the corner okay, but this is properly treacherous. Nick Jones is off again. He's really not enjoying himself this afternoon. 2 spins already in these slippery conditions.
We're going to see the same from Kieran Juris. So here's what happens to Tilbrook. He's just caught out by the very slow GT4 Jolt car. He tried to get out of the way, and it was just a miscommunication. I'm pretty sure the Jolt car was on the right-hand side of the track trying to give the racing line to Tilbrook. Tilbrook avoided contact with the Jolt car, but jolted himself off into the gravel.
Now, we've gone back racing again, and it looked as though maybe some were a little bit quicker to react than others, Joe.
So there's the full course yellow. Let's see when we get off the limiter. We're at 80 at the moment. See Griffin in our rear view. Green, and we're just slightly late to it. I don't know if that's Nick not being used to the car, not knowing the full course yellow maybe has a bit of lag to it. Maybe he's pressed the button.
Sandy Mitchell, though, into the final corner. I'm sure he'll be trying hard not to be distracted by what's going on in his mirrors. It will be a victory for Sandy Mitchell and Alex Martin. Barwell Motorsport victorious at Donington Park, and in a sensational performance it was for 3rd in GT4. Hopkinson gets it by 26 thousandths of a second. That really did run onto the checkered flag, and I suspect, Joe, the conversations might continue beyond it.
Yeah, Optimum Happy GT4 champions, and we picked up on Juris, who is on to be our GT3 champion too.
Kian Jewis and Charles Dawson are the 2025 British GT champions, and Kian Jewis at last breathes, I think possibly for the first time in the last 60 minutes or so. You could see the physical look of relief on his face as he saw the checkered flag and knew he had done it. Jack Brown, meanwhile, becomes the first ever double British GT4 champion. He and Mark Warren victorious after another sensational final race. He had a little shake of the head in disbelief, and he doesn't even know everything that was going on behind him with his teammate and the Century BMW. At last, Mark Warren can relax and the celebrations begin in earnest. You cannot argue, though, that that team do not deserve the championship. The same is true for 2Cs. Fantastic performance all season long for them. It was the 78 car that led a Barwell Motorsport 1-2, though. Hugo Cook and Rob Collard second, with Kevin Say and Maxi Gertz moving into 3rd in the closing stages. 4th was enough for the championship for Kian Jewis and Charles Dawson, with Nick Yellerly and Darren Young's non-point scoring Aston Martin in 5th ahead of Beach Team. Then it was Spirit of Races Ferrari, the Orange Racing by JMH McLaren 8th, 9th for Team ABBA Racing, and Paddock Motorsport in 10th. In GT4, it was a race win in the end for Mark Warren and Jack Brown, and that was enough to secure the championship victory in the end by 16 points over Century Motorsport. Mahiki's Ginetta was second, the second Optimum car was third, and Charlie Robertson and Ravi Ramid had to settle for 4th in the end. Not quite enough for the championship, which goes the way of Optimum Motorsport. So your provisional championship standings at the end of a hard-fought year of racing see the 2Cs Motorsport pairing of Charles Dawson and Kian Jewis crowned champions. Hugo Cook on his own, of course, because Rob Collard didn't do every race, ends up second, and that was only 3.5 points the better of Kevin Say and Maximilian Gertz, with Alex Martin 4th and Rob Collard completing the top 5. Well, it's a record-breaking 13th class win for Jack Brown, and they're the first Pro-Am crew to win the overall GT4 championship since 2016. Also, an Optimum Motorsport championship win. So, some really big achievements for Optimum and Jack Brown and Mark Warren. So, a fantastic conclusion to the championship. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you again next year.